Hello and good evening, and welcome to tonight's film, The Duke. Now, this is a lovely film by the late Roger Michel. It's a beautiful film. It's a true story, quite a crazy story. You'll probably watch it and see a nod to all those great Ealing comedies that we used to love, the Lavender Hill Mob and Passport to Pimlico. It's got a really lovely sort of feel of period to it. Two great actors at the centerpiece of it, Helen Mirren and Jim Broadbent. In fact, the director said he wouldn't make the film unless Jim Broadbent was in the helm. So it's a lovely, sort of quirky, crazy, almost improbable story about Kenton Bunton, who was a slightly eccentric guy who decided that he wanted to stand up. He wouldn't pay his TV rights, so his TV license, so he would take out the valves of the back of his television. So he didn't receive BBC channels. He was arrested, and he really just wanted to stand up for pensioners, for war widows, people who have been forgotten after the Second World War. And that's what this film sort of is at the heart of it. It's a human story, and I think that's why the court case was so interesting and everything. Now, the film is essentially about the stealing of the Goya masterpiece, The Duke of Wellington, which Bunton saw as a piece of art that was being paid for recklessly when money could be better spent elsewhere. That's the basic premise of it. And the film took quite a while to produce, took about 5 years to raise the money. In the end, Pathé News put up half the money for the project, which was fantastic. And all the footage that you see throughout is original Pathé footage of any interviews and things like that. So it's a really lovely, lovely sort of period piece, filmed in Bradford, filmed in Leeds. The courtroom drama was filmed in a standalone studio they have, which is a courtroom that is in Twickenham. So, what can I tell you about this film? Well, it was the sort of swan song film of the great Roger Michel. His wife is in it as well, and he died sadly before the film could be released. It was finished in 2020, but due to COVID and options for getting the film distributed, he wasn't able to actually see the film sort of premiered in the way that he wanted. But anyway, it was received very well. It was released at the Venice Film Festival, did very well there, and then went on. Didn't have a big cinema release. It was made for about 4.5 million, made about 15 million, and then very quickly went to the streaming site. So some of you may have seen this film before, but I think you'll agree it's a very, very tight script. It's beautifully shot. And those central performances I mentioned earlier are just fantastic. And it's a sort of feel good movie. It doesn't do anything it doesn't set out to do. It's just very, I think, quite a quirky movie, and there's a lot of twists in it which aren't actually obvious. Now, if you look at the background to the film, the picture was the film sort of looks at the time period of stealing the picture, the Goya, over 4 weeks. In reality, it was 4 years until the Goya was returned. So when you see the James Bond connection, where you see the Goya sitting in the film, and that is actual footage from Doctor No, that was had to be done from a slide because the picture hadn't yet been released. So that was, I think, Doctor No came out in '62. The picture wasn't officially returned until 1965. So it's quite interesting that, all the time, and you see that Bond connection going all the way through. So Spectre, the picture appears. Skyfall, the picture appears. So the idea is that this hidden artwork gets passed on from villain to villain. Now, that Barbara Broccoli gave permission, very unusually, for that piece to be used in the film, and the money was given to charity. But they did have full say-so, artistic license. If they didn't feel it was worked in the film, it was misused, they could pull it anyway. There were no complaints, so that's why it's in the film, and it's a really, really lovely, lovely touch. There's a few little things, little quirky things to note. So the actual picture, the Duke of Wellington, was painted by Goya. Originally, that picture is of Napoleon, but as the French were pushed back by the Duke of Wellington, Goya very hastily did use the same canvas, same picture. It's the same head. It's Napoleon's head, but it's the Duke of Wellington's features. So that's a little known fact about that picture, which is quite quirky. As I say, it's a lovely film, and you will really enjoy it. Look out for a few little spoilers. There's a bit halfway through. Helen Mirren has a thumb tattoo, and if you look very closely, see if you can spot the thumb tattoo. And there's a few other little bits in it, but it's very hard for continuity artists on small budget films to spot absolutely everything, and I think it gives it a little bit of a flavour of being an honest movie. Anyway, I really hope you enjoy this movie and look forward to seeing you on the next one. Many thanks. Bye bye.